Welcome, Greg Soulje. Nice to have you back with us today. And it's not a quiet weather week. It
Nope.
doesn't sound like. I've seen some April's coming in pretty rough. It came in on Sunday, hit us pretty good where we are in
Yeah.
northern Illinois. Lost a big tree and some limbs, and all in a 5-minute storm. So yeah, and I think there's some more coming tomorrow on Wednesday.
And
So
an encore presentation, if you will, from
encore. There we go.
Mother Nature again. So
Gotta love that.
yeah. So yeah, it's going to be basically literally a repeat of what we had here on Sunday, on a, again, broad scale, wide range of weather across the country, wide range of temperatures, and then a second system that we're keeping an eye on, which will generate some pretty healthy rainfall. Remember, back in mid-February, we had flooding in the far southern Corn Belt towards the Ohio, parts of Kentucky, Tennessee. A little broader scope flooding event may be lurking on the maps and charts over the course of the weekend down there as well. And we'll talk about that.
Yeah, they had some weather going through the Carolinas and down that way on the East Coast. I think it was yesterday. So yeah, lots to talk about. Let's put the slides up and let you take it over.
All right, and on this Tuesday, no fooling on an April 1. They're still recovering, Sarah. Not only do we had severe weather in the Midwest here, but in the northern Great Lakes areas of Wisconsin, Upper Michigan, they had a snow to freezing rain to melt event, then back over to significant ice and freezing rain. And it's rare, even in the wintertime season. That's either all or nothing in that particular part of the northern Great Lakes, either bitter cold or it snows. You never get these mixed precip events. Well, they did. And at least as of yesterday, Monday morning, there were 250,000 customers without power in northern Wisconsin, northern lower Michigan, and upper Michigan. And this morning, they were down into the single digits and low teens over that heavy snow-covered area, too. So that is an issue for those folks. And there's still tens of thousands of people without power. And again, repeat performance in the Midwest, repeat performance, but more snow and some mixed moisture, too, for the northern Great Lakes region. We'll take a look at that in a wide range of temperatures. That's about a 25 to 35 degree spread on readings. So that also equates to temperatures up aloft. And anytime you get the winds that are blowing, they strengthen when the temperature gradient, as we call it, expands at the surface and up aloft. And again, same situation there and here, and really across the northern plains where the snow is breaking out already from about the Sioux Empire, Corn Palace region into the eastern Dakotas. And that's the next system with the winds are blowing, and they're coming out of the west to southwest over the southern plains states area. So that means that pinkish red area in West Texas and western Kansas, that is a red flag warning, blowing dust, blowing sand, high wind warnings, everything going on again in New Mexico and West Texas, that particular part of the country. You can see the winter weather advisories through Minnesota, the northern reaches of Wisconsin for accumulating snow, some ice, and that winter storm warning as well from north of the Twin Cities areas. That green area is the expanding flood watch, which is in effect for many counties in Ohio, I-70 corridor on southward into Indiana, southeast Illinois, all the way down into northeastern Texas. And that same corridor that had significant snow melt and flooding rainfall on top of that. So some of these southern Corn Belt areas are going to get awfully wet. And we'll take a look at the totals here coming up in a little bit. And you like the rain, you like the easing of drought conditions, maybe not necessarily coming down all at once. That's what's left of the snow cover still through the Dakotas, the areas of the upper Midwest and Wisconsin, northern Great Lakes region. We will add to that. And we keep adding to it as well through the southern and southeastern Canadian prairie, Lake Winnipeg on east in particular. Cold highs, cold air masses re-refrigerate and like to migrate to either cold Great Lakes waters or cold snow-covered grounds at this point in early springtime. So that's something worth watching out for. There's the 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts that they'll hit out of New Mexico, West Texas, and Oklahoma Panhandle country, blowing dust, blowing sand, wildfire. We've done this before over the past few weeks, and the topsoil moisture ratings are getting pretty bleak and not great as winter wheat continues to break dormancy. I believe into the southern high plains areas of wheat country, they are moving into the heading stage, about 15, 20, 25% there. So rain's needed. 60-mile-an-hour winds doesn't help. And you can see the shortages at almost 90% across the areas of South Dakota, 67% short, and comparable across Oklahoma with regard to topsoil moisture. There's the drought monitor from Thursday. I'm sure there'll be worsening over the southwestern states, the southwest high plains. Modest improvement probably will be noted across the Corn Belt and points north and west from there. Southern states, planning field work is underway. Of course, they were hit pretty good, as you mentioned, over the weekend. The fire situation has generally improved across the Carolinas. I think there was about a dozen so from about Asheville into Asheville, North Carolina, into northern Georgia before the rains and unfortunately the severe weather came on through. But Louisiana making good progress in the soybean field, 6% complete there. Seeding for rice, making good progress, and 81% on the corn side. Those are above average advanced numbers for planting in that particular part of the country. Late season precip, they get it in the Pacific Northwest again. It's those weather systems that drop into the plains and scoot across the Corn Belt locale, southwestern states. We've certainly talked about that. That will be a story that has to be watched for fires and building and expanding heat as we go forward here in the weeks to come. There is the weather map for tonight. And yeah, lots of colors. Well, the red area is severe weather. That'll be breaking out across. Keep an eye on about Wichita, Kansas to Oklahoma City to just north of the Metroplex this afternoon and evening time. That's the initial line that will track southwest to northeast into the southwestern Corn Belt and across the Mississippi into probably some sense of a weakening state tomorrow morning. Snow and ice and all that stuff north of the Black Hills, Bismarck, east up towards Orion's Place. Happy birthday to him, by the way. Turned 91 yesterday, the 31st of March. Mm-hmm. So happy birthday to the Big O in the Kickapoo Valley of Wisconsin.
Exactly.
Again, when we were doing TV, we'd get the reports from Orion via his sister up there in the Kickapoo Valley of Wisconsin on snow totals and all that. So we certainly miss that and miss working with him on This Week in Agribusiness. So the story goes on. Sarah, there's Tuesday. Are you even interested in Wednesday and Thursday across the plains?
Oh, I'm sure it's just going to be great.
There it is. But again, drought relief, but again, it's going to come at a price of these fast-moving bands of thunderstorm activity. They're kind of in a weakened state across northern Illinois. You can see the snow through northern Wisconsin. The orange area is probably a sleet, freezing, rain combination. Same areas that don't have power, same areas that are trying to get recovered, same areas get walloped for the day tomorrow, and the snows extend as far west as Big Sky Country. And then by evening time, this is roughly about starting at about 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. We here in northern Illinois, areas downstate, will be winding out or still in the midst of severe weather. That is that red box area. And once again, we talk about risk assessment early on. There's already an enhanced risk. It's not a warning. It's just a precursor to that. But an enhanced risk of severe weather over a wide area, and we'll talk about this in a second, of the Midwest and the Corn Belt locales. That's level 3 out of 5. So again, it's almost repeating almost the same setup of what we had here over the past weekend. There it is, matter of fact. There is the severe weather threat and across Kansas, areas of Missouri, Oklahoma. That is an enhanced risk 3 out of 5 this afternoon and evening time. Wednesday, severe weather threat in that beige area expands. That is a 3 out of 5. That's a likelihood. It's going to happen, folks. Michigan, Illinois, down into Arkansas, points east and northeast. That's the 2-day outlook for severe weather. And I'm sure that by the time we get to Wednesday or Thursday and Friday, same will apply for the eastern states and the southeastern part of the country. By Thursday, there's rain still lingering across the Ohio Valley. Organization to the rainfall. You can see a little low coming out of Texas and one through Oklahoma. So we're going to get a couple of disturbances that kind of track along this frontal boundary that stalls out south of I-70 to about the Ohio. We're having difficulties trying to place that front where exactly it will be the focal point, with about a 2 or 3 hour drive north and south of it, of where either showers and thunderstorms get going in the Tennessee Valley, Mid-South, or just organized rain, downpours, steady rains that will come out of the southeastern plains and across the central, southern, and eastern Corn Belt locales. That's the next 2 days of rainfall. Everyone perhaps, actually most likely, into about a half to 1.5 inches, the heaviest of the Great Lakes region. That water equivalent is equivalent to 5 to 10 inches of snow out of the eastern Dakotas, Minnesota, and northern Wisconsin over those same hard-hit areas. Then, as that front stalls out, probably 1 inch or 2 of rain to start in the Ohio Valley. But if you want to look at the next 7 days, we will after the headlines here, those numbers are going to be pretty much of a flooding variety. So the headlines going forward the next 48 hours, the ice storm, the snowstorm, we talked for the northern plains and northern Great Lakes region, severe wind, 60 miles an hour, elevated wildfire threat, and blowing dust and all that stuff you expect out of the drought areas of the central and southern plains. Severe weather gets going later today and then heads into the Corn Belt locales for the day tomorrow. And again, the likelihood of some flooding rainfall, 5-day rain totals are going to be pretty substantial, probably into that 3 to 6 on the lower end of things, and probably 4 to 9 and locally some 10-inch totals that can't be ruled out in this corridor, approaching 10 inches over northern Arkansas and southwest Indiana, as much as 1 to 3 as far north as the Kankakee River and up into southern sections of Michigan. Most everyone else in the eastern and southern Corn Belt, if you add the thunderstorm rains and then the system comes through over the course of late Friday, Saturday, moving out on Sunday to Monday, that's another 1 to 3, and as mentioned, some spots 3 to 6 or 3 to 8 inches of rain. So big rain event on tap in the wake of the thunderstorm activity that comes on through the eastern and southern Corn Belt and out of the plains. Quickly, Friday, here's the upper map. You can see a system moving out of the southwestern part of the country. Again, that's going to be moving through Saturday and Sunday's time frame that will help to generate the rainfall in the southern and eastern Corn Belt. A northerly branch to those upper level winds out of Canada are going to marry up, and we think there's going to be a new system evolving over the Great Lakes and enough cold air return that even as far south as maybe Springfield, Illinois, maybe sections of northern Missouri, Kansas City to Springfield to Champaign to Indianapolis could very well get a little snow in the air come Monday, and perhaps even some accumulation in our part of the world on colder surfaces. So it is a classic springtime setup, and you can see that boundary set up in little lows tracking along it between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with another low coming up out of the southern Great Lakes regions Sunday into Monday with that northern branch of the jet. So that brings concern into our mind that we've got a weather system as well as winding out of the heavy rain event over parts of the northern and central Corn Belt locales and eastern plains in that Sunday to Monday time frame. And then just cold high pressure settles on in. And at least it's a better weather pattern. Now, if you're looking for warmth into the soils, and we've gained that over some areas of the southern Corn Belt, obviously the southern plains and into the Delta and southeastern states. Two things: we'll begin to lose soil temperatures, warmth, and we've got some late season frost and freeze potential, we think, where skies clear and winds drop back south of what you typically would expect. We're past the freeze dates and areas of central Illinois, central Missouri, and central Indiana. Not frost, but freezing dates. And there may very well be some freezing temperatures early to mid next week into some of these Corn Belt and southeastern plains areas. But at least we're not completely on board with this yet. And if this does materialize, anytime we try to moderate the cold, we're going to make rain. But we do see a reprieve, cleanup, recovery, assessment for some of the severe weather areas with this drier weather picture the next 6 to 10 days, the next 2 weeks as well, beginning late next week and out of the rain system, by the way, next week. So it's a drier weather pattern, not great for the Southwest, not great for the drought areas in the northern plains and points westward, but opportunities to clean up and assess damage, the flooding issues that will be playing out in the Ohio Valley, power issues across the northern Great Lakes region. So not completely aboard with the government thinking there, but there's a general trend towards a quiet weather picture. But the way the atmosphere is laying out, Sarah, we may move into maybe a 7 or 10 day window beginning next week of some quieter weather. But anytime we try to warm things up, it's an easy mechanism to make rainfall across the plains and northern plains and into the same Corn Belt locales. But apart from that, hey, nothing going on in the weather.
Right. Nothing else going on, right?
My goodness. It's great for content for our discussions here, but folks in the plains, the Corn Belt, upper Midwest, Dixie, Southeast, a lot of the heartland, key ag and the livestock areas, in one way or another, are going to be impacted by weather going forward the next 3 to 5 days.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that dust down in the Texas area was really playing havoc on, say, the irrigation systems and other pieces of equipment, just kind of really, getting in there and clogging it up and making a mess, of course.
And I wouldn't be surprised, like we had here a couple of weeks ago, and I think I still got it. I think I have someone's dust from Oklahoma, Kansas on my driveway. It's kind of a pitted driveway, and it still has dirt there. It had that dustiness on the vehicles after the rain, so I wouldn't be surprised that some of that dust gets picked up, sucked up by the thunderstorms, and rained out as they make their march southwest to northeast across the heartland.
Well, we'll catch up with you again on Friday, get another update. Of course, You can catch Greg every weekend on This Week in Agribusiness and every day on a lot of radio stations across the country. So
exactly.
Tune in, and we touch base with him every Tuesday and every Friday and bring you those updates, as well as a longer term monthly update every month. So, Greg, appreciate it. Everyone out there, stay safe, and
Absolutely.
We'll see you soon.
Take care.